Hey everyone, welcome back to A Place to Come. I hope you guys are having a great day, guys. I'm coming on because it's time for another video. Sorry it's been a couple of weeks since I did the last one. I think it's been a couple of weeks, probably over a week. And I've just been crazy, and I just wanted to get my thoughts together and all that. What we're gonna go over today is we're gonna go over the first one was what I did was allow yourself to feel sadness and all that. Now I'm going to do the second one is surround yourself with supportive people who get it about your child. Connect with other parents who are walking in your shoes. You are not alone. So let's go over that a little bit, okay? Because that's a hard one because, you know, you're not just you wake up one morning or one day and you find out that you have a child that is challenged. And are the people around you that have the same thing? More than likely not. But what happens is you get thrown into that situation if your child or when your child needs therapies and needs rehabilitation and needs early intervention. You're thrown into that situation, so you will have people around you that are going through the same stuff you are going through. And if you don't, there's always ways of reaching out through a counselor, through the physical, occupational, speech therapies, whatever your child needs. There are people that you can speak to and ask for support groups and call your local social services, there are lots and lots of people that you can surround yourself with to help and to be a partner in what you're doing, with what's going on. It's very hard in the beginning to reach out. You're coming to terms with it yourself and not even really coming to terms with it because in the beginning, you don't even know what's going on, what you're going to have to do, what you're going to do, what's going to happen, what kind of disability does your child have. You're making doctor's appointments, you're making this, you're making that. Reach out to family members as well. If you're going through this, if you just, it depends on whatever happens. Did your child have an accident and now your child needs physical therapy, or you had a child from the birth that you found out had a disability, how to navigate it and all this. There's a lot of support out there, but you have to reach out for it. You have to reach out to it because if you don't, it's not going to come walking at your doorstep. And that kind of stuff right there, support and surrounding yourself with people who are going through what you're going through, getting all the information you can is what's going to help you navigate everything that's going on. Give yourself some grace and some praise because this is going to be one of the most difficult things you will ever have to go through. Because not only are you mourning and devastated with the fact that your child needs special needs, has special, you're going to need, special help. Cooper now. You're going to have to navigate doctor's appointments and evaluations and all this stuff to determine what your child's diagnosis is and all of that. And also at the same time, mourn the fact that you didn't have a child that doesn't have any issues. Because in reality, guys, you really don't realize it, but it's very, very, very rare. And you're very lucky to have a normal child. Because when you think about it, there are so many things that could go wrong that you don't even know about. Hence what happened to us. Okay. Now, what was that? There's a lot to navigate, a lot to know. And in the beginning months or weeks that are still in shock about what's happening and everything else. It's not so easy to... Yes, they ate, yes. Huh? Yes. Sorry. So yeah, so just surround yourself with people. Reach out for help. Ask for help. Again, it's not going to come to your door, guys, but I'm telling you, even though you don't want to, it's going to benefit you and your child or your whoever your caregiver, if you're the caregiver or whatever, it's going to benefit both of you. Okay, so that's an important one, okay? Let's do this. So, and then don't, like I just said, don't be afraid to ask. Often family and friends want to help, but they just don't know how. You know, delegate people. If your mom's calling you and saying, you know, Linda, look, what can I do? What can I help you with? Can I make phone calls? Can I do this? Can I do that? Yes, gives everybody a job. Give everybody a job, because even if it's just helping in a small way, it's still taking off some of the pressure for you, because you're still using tissues. You know, you're still navigating your feelings. You're still shocked and so confused about everything. And there's ways that your family and friends could help you out. So if they ask you for help, or even if they don't, accept the help and ask for help, guys. I'm telling you, as somebody who knows, who went through this, it is something that you'll really be happy that you did. It really, really is. Okay? Let's see. Be honest about your feelings and share them with trusted friends. Be honest about your feelings and trust and share them with trusted friends, family members, a counselor. It's the same thing as getting support and asking for support and all of that. Now this is later on. This one is later on in your years, when, you know, when months and months go by and you're realizing and you're navigating your child's disability, as far as what programs they're going into, what you know, therapies they're having to have or whatever. But it says here, do not let your child's disability, sorry guys, define you or your child. That's really important too, because if you let that hold you back, your child is going to suffer, because your child is not going to get the benefits of all that your child can do. And we learned that very early on. Well, not very early on, probably, you know, a year or two into Jenny, we realized that you have to really, I'm sorry guys, I don't know why this happens. I don't understand why sometimes I get this yawning attack while I'm videoing. Just bear with me. It also comes with acceptance. You know, once you accept your child for who he is or she is, then you will be able to navigate, and you will be able to get that child the best life that you could possibly get. But if you're in denial, and if you're in it where you're not believing, and you're saying, oh, my child's not like this, oh, my child can do this, my child can do that, you're not gonna help your child. It's not going to be helping them. It's going to be inhibiting them, because they're not going to be able to feel good about themselves, because they're not going to be in a position where they can thrive. And that's the God's honest truth. And I know, because I did it. We did it. And once the light bulb went off, and once we realized, hey, listen, this is hard, this is devastating, this is terrible, but she can be all she can be. He can be all he can be. And, you know, you love him just as much. And then when everything comes into play, and let me tell you something, it's not going to be easy. This is not easy at all. But it can be easier. And I will tell you a story how Jennifer has thrived throughout her life, because we finally accepted her disability. You know, I was around all kinds of children, my nieces, my nephews, my cousins, my this and that, everybody, you know, who had babies, and they were Jenny's stage of life, and, you know, 3 months old, 8 months old, a year, 4 or 5 years old, 6 years old. And they were all doing the things that I wanted my child to do. So what did I do? I was exposed to, from the schools and from the counselors and from the therapists, and all the information that was given to me, that I reached out for or given to me, I wasn't always reaching out, guys. It's normal to not reach out, don't feel guilty and don't feel bad about yourself, because this is hard. This is some hard stuff to slap you in the face with. It's very, very difficult navigating this. It's very difficult accepting this. There's so many stages of it, and you just don't even know until you're in it. But however it happened with me, acceptance, whatever, I realized that it wasn't about making me happy or us happy, our family happy. It was about making Jennifer happy, about Jennifer thriving, even being disabled. There's, disabled people are still people. They still have feelings. They still have wants. They still have needs. They still have aspirations. They still have, they still want to have fun. They still want to socialize. They everything, they're just amazing people. And so we found this baseball league, and if you're in the disabled community, you'll know about it, or maybe you've heard about it. It's called the Challenger League. Now, I really haven't been involved in that in a lot of years now, because they only play baseball until they're, I think, 21. I think it was 21, 22, something like that. Then they move on from there because they age out. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't think they have an over adult age baseball team. Well, they actually do. I think it's called Dreams or something, and they do. But Jennifer's not in that. But I'm not really, haven't been really exposed to that because she does other things and everything. But I think there is. But anyway, it's a league where everybody has a buddy. Everybody gets up there to bat, whether they can bat or they can't bat or they can't catch the ball. They're out in the field. They're able to hit the ball if they're capable of hitting it. They run to the bases. Everybody cheers. Everybody wins. It's just amazing. It's amazing. And let me tell you something. We have found amazing, amazing friends from being in all these things. We would go camping, and we would, when we moved to Florida, we were in the same kind of community. We had the same kind of school Jenny had up here in New York, and they would do camping trips. We would go to cabins and do weekends, and we all, it was like a big, big family, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful being around all these parents that were going through the same stuff you were going through. You enjoyed yourself. You had an amazing time watching your child enjoy herself and himself. It's just, so what I did was, I personally was very, I personally put Jenny in a lot of things that most parents probably wouldn't have put her in. I wanted her to be in Brownie. So what did I do? I contacted one of the Brownie organizations that were in her school district, and I asked, do you accept disabled children? And they were like, oh my God, of course. And Jenny was in Brownies. Jenny was in Girl Scouts. She did all the things that they did. And it was beautiful. It was nice because Jenny was a little bit more high functioning, but even if she wasn't, she could go in there with an aide or whatever. They would accept her, and they have to accept her, but they're not always accepting. But the group that we found became friends with Jenny, and just, she did all the activities that they did. She did all the badges, and she loved it. And to this day, I have pictures of her. I'll show you in her album. I'm not going to do it today, but I'll show you her album the next time again, and show you pictures of her in the Brownies and the Girl Scouts. And she was in, what other stuff she was in? So she was in Challenger Baseball. She was in regular Brownies and Girl Scouts. There was a few other things she was in. I'm trying to think what else she was in. There was a few things. But the thing is, I put her in things that like I was saying in the other video, to let her try, because you never know their abilities until you let them try. So even if you take them to a meeting or take them to something, and they're not successful at it, then at least hey, listen, I tried, And it's really, really, really good too also to to incorporate disabled adults or disabled children into, what's the word you use? I don't want to say normal because, some people get offended by that, but that's what I use sometimes. Put, in involve them in each other's lives, with disabled, with non-disabled, because that's how children and adults and everything become empathetic. They get empathy by seeing somebody who's struggling, who can't do what they do, and having compassion for that person, and helping them. And I think it does really well for your kids to involve your kids. It's not always easy to involve the siblings. I'm gonna tell you one day about, that's another whole video of how my children handled it. I had Julie and Frankie, and they were both completely on the opposite forms of it. Julie handled it a different way than Frankie. Frankie handled it a completely different way. And no way was wrong or right. It was just the way they handled it. So you had to navigate, and you had to support whatever way your child was able to cope with it. I got to just write this down on my notes, supporting your child, because I want to make sure, because I wrote this down. Supporting your sibling, their sibling. Because that's really important. Because it doesn't only affect the parents, it affects the whole entire family, even the extended family. Okay, let me see what I wrote here. Things to build things, sick, really. Okay. Right. So that's very important. And that's a very, very big thing that we're going to go over, is the support of the siblings and stuff, because that's really, really big. Okay. So again, do not let your child's disability define them, because the best thing is to let them know that they're accepted and they have a right to do everything else, everything that another human being does. At least try. Okay, at least try. They might not be successful. They might not be 100% successful. But hey, listen, if they can do half the job, it is what it is, guys. They're just as important, and get to have a life, even if it's just a life that they get to have. It's their life, and they still deserve that. So yes, okay. Celebrate your child's accomplishments. That's another thing that we were just talking about. Get to that baseball game, have your family come, let them cheer on. So if they tap the ball and it falls right in front of them, they run and they feel successful and they get to the base. And it is the most amazingest, greatest feeling you will ever have. Even if you don't have a child with a disability, look it up. Go to a game and see how you feel, guys. I'm telling you, it is amazing. And there's all volunteers that volunteers to be the buddies. They're usually like teenagers, or they could be adults or whatever. You could be whoever whatever it is, and all of that. So just, guys, I'm telling you, it is amazing. Okay. It's often difficult. Try to live in the moment. Yes. Even though it is often very difficult, try to live in the moment and truly enjoy your child for the person they are. That's a big one, and that's a hard one, because, you're still trying to get used to the fact that people are looking at you. Some of the adults or children have temper tantrums. They yell and they scream and they spit and they do things that aren't really appropriate. But you have to learn. How to look at the good moments and the accomplishments that they do, and maybe try to get people to understand. If somebody's staring, a little person staring, and you're like, oh, you could handle it in a lot of different ways. You could handle it like getting angry and getting upset that person's staring and all that, or you could explain to them, that she has a disability. It's okay. You don't have to be afraid. You can come say hello. There are all different ways to navigate that, but that's really like a learning experience, and that's really a difficult thing that you learn as you go. It's very easy to get defensive. It's very easy to get hurt and upset. I've been through it all. I've cried. I've gotten angry. I've gotten mad. I've gotten, depressed. It's a very, very, very difficult situation. And it also goes by the way the way your child is. Is your child high functioning, low functioning? Do they speak? Can they understand? Do they, all these things? It depends a lot on the child's disability and what your child can do and what is capable of. That's what it depends on. 90% of it is that. So that's something you have to, navigate, and you'll get to know your child and what your child can accept and can't accept, and doesn't, and fears and all of that stuff, guys. That's all a learning experience as well. Okay, but enjoy the good times. Enjoy the goodness, because you want your child to feel good about themselves. They're going to be living in this body. You're going to have to witness it, and everybody needs to be, understanding and just. But it's difficult. It's difficult. I'm not going to lie. It's very, very hard, and that's why you need support. You need outside support. You need family support. You need to take time for yourself. You need all of that, guys. All of it. You cannot do this alone. And you're not alone, and you can't do it alone. I promise you. All right. Learn about your child's disability. It will go a long way toward understanding and advocating for your child. That's it. You need to know about your child, what your child is capable of, or what you think your child can be capable of, or what the child's disability is, and all of that. And I'm going to say this, and this is odd to say, but you can't always take 100% what they say, because they said Jenny would never walk. They said Jenny would never talk. They said Jenny would not do this. They said Jenny wouldn't do this. And Jennifer has gone beyond what they ever thought for her. When I used to bring her to the neurologist, I told you, for her checkups, the neurologist would sit there and would talk to himself, because he could not believe, with the way the medical situation was in her brain, that the white matter was missing. That part of the brain affected what parts of her body that they said that she wouldn't react good. And you know what? Let me tell you something. She went beyond. She walked. She talked. She's able to do so many things. And today, every single day, even now at 36 years old, just yesterday. Yesterday was Jenny's birthday. Happy birthday, Jen. She had a great birthday. She had like 5 celebrations. Yes, you saw it, guys. She does. She did. She had a great, great, great birthday. So anyway, till this day, she'll say something to me now that she's in the group home and she's more independent. And I'll be like, did everybody just hear her say that? Like, just very intelligible talk. Very, 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 she's thriving more than she ever did being home. And that's a whole nother video too, guys. We're going to go through so much, you have no idea. You have no idea. It might be a little, miscombobulated in the videos. I'm just going to go with how I feel talking about and all that. So it might not go completely in order of stages, but whatever it is, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to go through it. And, we're going to go through a lot of stuff, okay? Because it's really, really helpful. It's really helpful to know all these things that you will have to navigate as a parent, a caregiver, whatever, of a child, an adult child, an elderly child, whatever, with a disability, okay? So understanding is very important to know what your child's disability is. Go to the doctor, ask them, take notes or whatever. So this way you can advocate for your child, because, again, advocating for your child is going to be your job. Your job. Unless you advocate somebody else, unless you have somebody advocating for you, and another family member, a friend or whatever that's advocating for your child, you're going to be the one fighting for your child. You're going to be the one, and you have to, because you are going to be their lifeline, especially if they can't fight for themselves. Sibling, a cousin, a sister. I said that. A brother, a brother-in-law, a mother-in-law, a father-in-law, whatever, a grandmother, a grandfather, a nanny, a parent. You're going to be their lifeline, and that's the way it's going to be. And if you can't do it, please, please, please get help and try to navigate and try to advocate, get somebody to advocate for you, because the only person that's going to suffer is that person, is that disabled person. Okay? And I'm saying person because you could have a 2 month old, you can have a 38-year-old. These are all stages, and it never ends, guys. The stages never end. So it's a constant thing, okay? Constant thing. Okay, so we went over that. Okay, and this one's good too. Have a sense of humor. Laugh often. It is important for your children to see you happy. That's it. And it's the truth. We were very lucky because Jenny has a very, very, very funny and very light and very good personality. Always happy, very, very outgoing. She was very, very funny and just has a great sense of humor, and just was really silly and just really, really fun. And and we all, it was like when we were crying and 2 minutes later we were laughing and crying at the same time. Very, 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 very happy in those ways, even in all the turmoil. And let me tell you something, there was a lot of turmoil. Then you got to worry about like the medical things. Like Jennifer, developed a seizure disorder at a year old, and she had high fevers. And every time she would get a high fever, she would have a seizure. Okay, the first seizure was devastating. I don't even want to talk about that right now, but we're going to talk about, let me write that down on my list here. We're going to go into seizure disorder, because that's really important. And that was really difficult, very, very difficult to navigate. Not only her having a physical disability, but then having a seizure disorder, a medical disorder. Nightmarish, guys, nightmarish. So yes, guys, having a sense of humor is always great, because it just keeps things light, and it's so hard, And if you have to go in your bathroom or your bedroom and take a minute and cry, and because every little stage, and navigating every little stage of everything that they do, that maybe they were able to pick up a pen today, maybe they were able to, it's okay for your child to cry in front of your child or whatever. You just don't want your child to feel bad about themselves. And like I said, every little thing is an accomplishment and made a big deal out of, and also, guys, just one other note before I go, because I'm going to go in a minute. I'm going to cut this one short, a little shorter. But always, always, always try to incorporate children that don't have disabilities in their environment, because like Jennifer had big birthday parties, and we would invite all her cousins that are quote didn't have disabilities, and people that in different classrooms or whatever that didn't have disabilities, and we incorporated as much as we could possibly bring other kids into that situation, and it really is the best thing for your child, because like I said, other children learn empathy, they learn compassion, they learn, and it can change their life as much having a relationship with those type of children and adults than as much as normal, non-disabled people. So yeah, so that's really, really important, guys, to involve everybody as much as you can. And let me tell you something, there's gonna be scrutiny, there's gonna be rejection. I have stories that I'm gonna tell you that you're not gonna believe, some stuff that Jennifer and I went through for people who wouldn't accept that she was disabled, or did things that were just uncalled for, inappropriate, and just very people you wouldn't even believe that like would actually have a closed mind. So there's so much to go through, guys. There's so much to navigate. But again, I'm here to tell you, you're not alone. Reach out, please. I haven't noticed anybody reaching out. I haven't gotten any questions. I know I go through a lot on here, and I do go over a lot of stuff that maybe you had a question for or whatever. But if you could please, please, please like and share. I got to reach out. I forgot to reach out to a few other people to share that I have to do But please use word of mouth. This is really an important channel for people who need help, who need understanding, who need advice, who need to vent, who need, whatever. Even if you don't want to participate in questions, I'm going to be planning a live. I'm going to be announcing when I'm going to do a live in a couple of days on my next video, and we'll do a live, and then maybe you guys can get ready. I'll give you a nice amount of notice, so you can come on and ask your friends if they need. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. This is I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not anybody important. I'm just a mom and a lady and a parent and a family who goes through and is still going through and navigating having a child with a disability who is right now in a group home in almost in her second year of a group home. That's a whole nother video, and guys, there's so much we have to go through. So anyway, I hope you guys got something from this video. Again, please post questions. I would love to answer your questions or your concerns, or just vent. Whatever you want to say on here, you can say anything. No judgment, no nothing. You're not alone. Okay, guys, please come to please come to a place to come. We're here for you. We love you. And this is for Jennifer and all the other people that need help. All right, guys, I love yous. I'll see you on the next video. Oh, bye. A place to come. Don't forget, come and talk. Love you guys. Bye.